All right. Well, welcome everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, morning, depending on wherever you are. So the mainnet status is the same as before. Gurinder was cleaning up some last finalized state versions, but other than that, there's nothing new in terms of versions on the mainnet. And we have Nutzipper has made great progress on block merge. There's a demo that he's going to do shortly when I'm done. Will completed merging the dev branch and the block merge branch, and Nutzipper completed the pieces he was doing with creating the indices and caches. And Nutzipper is beginning to analyze performance and what's causing slowdown and those kinds of things. So there is some more work there to be done, but I think we have at least a version that is either ready or getting ready to be deployed on the testnet so that people can take a whack at it. So that's where we are. Nutzipper has created in order to enable optimization and understanding where the performance bottlenecks are. It's created a lot more spans to monitor where the time is being spent by the code base. He's going to demo all of that, I think, when it is his turn. So when we do some more work in this area, then we'll begin to answer the question of the degree of horizontal scaling that we're seeing. So that's where we are. And there are some more pieces to be done for block merge in terms of meeting the milestone. So that's the next set of things we will be tackling, and we need to address those issues in order to enable block merge on the mainnet. But for now, we're still focused on block merge on the testnet and what all we need to do to improve things over there. The other thing that's, I talked last week about this, the fact that we're going to do 2 hard forks. The first one to clear the slashed validator node from the mainnet and fix the bonds file and carry over the balances from the previous or current version of the mainnet to the new version. And that's kind of we're thinking of that as a trial or practice hard fork. And then there will be a second hard fork to correct some bugs and the configuration items. So those are listed here in the 3315 issue on there. The one of the main things also that we started to look at, now that we're getting block merge ready, eventually it'll be on the mainnet at some point. We're beginning to look at the developer adoption issue and looking at what needs to be done in that area. So Tomislav is investigating a couple of different things. He's looking at the best practices from other projects and thinking about what frameworks or widgets or code snippets we need to make available for developers to make life easy for them. And then wherever we see good ideas, we're going to adopt those to the RChain context and implement that. So that's one activity that will be beginning soon. And in preparation for that, there's a channel called Platform Adoption in the development category on the pub RChain. So that's where you can put your ideas about, hey, if we do this, this will help our developers or this will help attract developers, things like that. It could be events, it could be partnerships, it could be tools, widgets, things we need to do, could be education. So that's what that channel is for, is to discuss and come to conclusions on the platform adoption, what we need to do. There is some progress also, kind of spontaneous work done by Toby in this area. He added a Rolang template to codesandbox.io, and that's a platform that claims to have some 2 million monthly developers, and that some 10 million apps have been developed on their platform. Seems to be in Netherlands, I guess, is where they're headquartered. So, and now Toby has enabled Rolang on there. So this platform is more like a code and collaborate in the browser kind of a platform. And now what Toby has done is similar to what Dan Conley had done before on our GitHub, or in the RChain community GitHub in one of the repositories. So you could just directly connect with the RChain network and run code against the network from the code sandbox.io. So that's what Toby has enabled. So shout out to Toby. Thank you very much. Tomislav had talked in the past about enabling something similar on REPL.it. That also seems to be a very similar platform. I don't know, but I guess he might take a look at it, or maybe now that Toby has done this, it's easily replicable in other platforms. There is another one called exorcism.io, which is basically exercises for developers in various languages. And that's another one I would want people to consider putting some Rolang exercises in there so that people are kind of familiar with how the language works, and the fear factor is gone, because coding is mostly a matter of practice, and the more avenues we create for practice, I think the better it would be for the RChain community and for the project overall. So that's kind of one set of things. I mean, if you think of it as channels, that's kind of one channel, this code and collaborate or test in the browser kind of platforms. And there's probably another half a dozen of them probably that we can eventually get to. But then there is also things we're looking at from what would attract enterprise developers to this, people that they have a blockchain project that they want to do, and how do they quickly get to doing something. We have not done a whole lot of work here yet, but we're just beginning. I'm beginning to look at Microsoft's COCO framework, which they basically, COCO stands for confidential computing. So which basically means that something that you can verify. It's heavily Ethereum oriented, but maybe there is a way for us to tweak or provide some portion of that, replace some portion of that, that would then enable all the people that they are promoting it to develop with the RChain platform. We have to see. I mean, each of these things we have to do some research, assess what makes sense and what doesn't, and then also the effort involved, and then take actions appropriately. So that's kind of what we're beginning to look at. Separately, I talked about Tatum.io some time ago. I'm not sure if people remember, but they basically are a platform for enterprise developers that want to develop to a blockchain, and they have, I think, already about a dozen or 8 or some blockchains that they have enabled. So they run the nodes on their platform, and then they provide some added value. For example, if the network is very slow, they would create like an offline version of it to mimic the as to what kind of results they would get. And then, so like I said, if you take something like Ethereum, maybe the transactions are either too expensive or too slow. So these guys just let people develop on their platform using some offline network or offline mock of the network. So there are places like that, and they're just one of them. They approached us, but there are probably another 3 or 6 like that we can look at and see what makes sense, if the partnerships make sense. Separately, Greg and I were speaking with a small team that is already putting some proposals and pilots for blockchain projects in EU, in the EU area. So we're going to engage with teams like that also to see if we can get them to learn and work on the RChain platform as they put their proposals and pilots together. So this is all different parts of the developer adoption effort, and this is not necessarily even all of it. But we're beginning to look at that because I think that's a critical barrier we have to overcome over the next several months for the platform to get to where it needs to get to. And a lot of that, this is also, again, some of these are simple and we can just go ahead and do them. But some of these are more like product development, right? I mean, you need to do a little bit more formal validation of what will work and what won't work, and what would and would not help the platform grow. So then you have to create features and hooks that make sense from that angle. So that's kind of where we are. We're still in the very early stages of that. That is one thing that I wanted to talk about. The other thing with these hard forks, existing applications like Dappy will have to do some data migration because from the old to the new. So this Thursday, which is tomorrow, we have the tech governance meeting where we will be going over that. And then there are a couple of other R chips that the development team has come up with to hash the full data set, as well as add some additional fields to the block message. So there are some R chips that we need that we'll have to either create or process, make some decisions on. So I encourage everyone interested in that part to participate in the tech governance call tomorrow. I think next Thursday, there may be another version of the R&D meeting, but subject to that, if there is not one, we'll continue the tech governance for the next couple of weeks to complete these tasks so that the developers can go ahead and do what they need to do, as well as DApp developers have their strategy lined up as to what they need to do to be ready for the hard fork when it comes. So I think those are the pieces I wanted to cover. I hope I'm not forgetting anything else. Any questions on any of this or comments? All right, over to you, Greg.
All right, thank you, Rao. I appreciate it. So more on the developer and other marketing outreach. We held the first RChain Computer Science Workshop. We had very good attendance. We had several folks from Imperial. We had folks from Edinburgh, folks from Lisbon, and several other high-profile institutions. So it was very much a who's who of concurrency theory. People were engaged for the full session, and we got some very positive feedback, including at least one student who has expressed interest in an internship with RChain. So that's about as positive as you can get. So very excited about that. Also, we have been invited back to the Perm Winterschool. I'll be giving a talk at Perm towards the end of February. Very much looking forward to that. That's always a good time. Let's see, what else? Oh, we also have some good news on the technical front, which I'll mention in just a bit. Trying to think. First of all, let me just check and see if there are any questions about the Perm Winterschool gig or the workshop.
Greg, I added the link to the Perm Winterschool.
Oh, fantastic. Very
and
good.
I spoke with Lena and she added another day. So on the 25th. So basically you're going to speak on the 25th instead of 26th.
Okay, great. Looking forward to it then. 25th.
Thursday.
Thursday. Oh, good. Keep the Thursday dates going.
7 a.m. in the morning, your time.
Oh, that makes it even easier. Okay, let's see. Any other questions about the workshop or the Perm Winterschool? All right. I know that we have a couple of demos. Raphael, you wanted to give a demo?
Yep.
Okay, and let me just see. I didn't see Nutzipper. Is Nutzipper on?
Yes, he's here.
Okay. You guys want me to toss a coin, or who wants to go first?
I think I can go first.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, so I'm going to present my work on RChain Token. Okay, so what's RChain Token? RChain Token is a bunch of rolling files. It's basically a contract for the RChain platform, and it reproduces some capabilities that everyone know in Ethereum, and for example the ERC-20 contract. So RChain Token does stuff similarly, so it allows you to do the same thing, have a contract and move tokens within this contract, and have different identities that own a different amount of tokens. So I'm going to follow this document. So yes, so basically you all know about ERC-20. So in ERC-20, you can own tokens. For example, someone had 1,000 ROC tokens, and in RChain Token, we can do the same and express the same, but in rolling. So this is the example of the data that would be in a RChain Token contract. One cool thing is that you can have different token types within one contract. For example, in this example, there is a gold token type and a silver token type. And the ownerships are expressed through the concept of bags. So in this case, there is just one bag, it's bag 0, and it has 1,000 gold tokens because there is N0. And it belongs to this public key, and it's not for sale at the moment. So you can do lots of operations. There is so as the owner, of course, you can you first have to deploy an empty contract. Then you can create tokens in this contract and token types to eventually get to this state. And then other people can purchase tokens from the bags that exist. And so what I will demo today is the test suite that reproduces all those operations. I'll zoom. So you see there is, let's get back. Okay, so yes, step 1, deploy the contract, then check that there are empty bags and tokens within this contract, then create tokens, then check those created tokens, then use a second identity to purchase tokens from a given bag, and then also update data associated to bags. So this is a feature that Ethereum ERC-20 does not have, but we have it in RChain Token, and we use it very much in all the Dappy ecosystem. If I own this bag, for example, I can associate data to it. So data can be anything, for example, a color. And so you can have metadata associated to bags as well as token types. This is the metadata associated to the token type 0. So all those operations are tested one after another, and basically it's a test suite. And the cool thing is that it uses all those endpoints of Arnode HTTP API. So all of those endpoints are also tested by this Node.js program. Prepare, deploy, explore, deploy, data at name, and last block request. And also, of course, the RChain toolkit, which is the JavaScript kind of util to communicate with RChain in Node.js or in the browser. So I'm going to run those tests. I can change this number to create more or less bag depending on how fast I want it to run. So I'm going to stick with 100. And the command is very simple. It's npm run test. So you will see all those steps being logged one after another. Okay, it went wrong, of course. So okay, let me cancel here my changes. Okay, let's try again. Okay, so I'm using my local Arnode instance. So you see this first deploy, it's the contract. So it's now available to this registry URI. And so yeah, it goes quite fast. So this first step has been passed. You can see at each step the associated cost in dust. So the second step also passed. The third step is a create tokens operation. So it will create 100 bags, and each one of them, I think, has 3 tokens in it. So yeah, this is the create token rolling code, create tokens. And of course, everything is secured with signatures. Okay, so the third step went through. Then we check that there are 100 bags. And then the following operation should also go through. I will copy the registry URI so I will be able to show the command line interface as well. Okay, I will paste it in the .env file. Okay, so we are at step 6. So you see that at step 5, it's a purchase from someone. Someone purchased from bag 1. So this is why at step 6 we have 101 bags instead of 100, because there is a new ownership. And then the final steps are metadata association. And there is also encryption going on here, because if I own bag 100, of course, I should be the only one that can associate metadata to it. Okay, step 8. There is also the send tokens capability. Okay, so everything went through. There is the dust cost associated, so I calculated quickly, and it's very, very low at the moment, because on mainnet as well as testnet we have flow price to 1. I guess so. It's a 10,000th a 10,000th of a USD. The average cost for deployment. So this is it. I have I just showed you the tests, and now I just want to show you a quick feature of RChain Token, which is the CLI. So with the command line interface, you can quickly check the data that is in a contract. So you have this environment file, and then you can just do node CLI view, and we will see the contract that has been created by the test. So you see that there are 100 bags, and there are 2 additional bags. So each one of them has 1, because one of them purchased from the bag 1, and the other, it was the bag 1 that sent 1 token to this new public key. So I think that's it. That's it.
That is awesome. I'm very tempted to suggest that we do the Dazzle token as one of these. This looks, but what I would recommend, and I think this will be good for you and good for the community, is that we organize some kind of audit of the code, so that people feel confident in the code.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, let's see if we can put together a group. Maybe Dan Connolly, Jim Whitescarver, Rao, myself, Tomasov, whoever wants to be involved, to go over the code and conduct a decent audit. I think it would be very good. And then after that, if it passes audit, I'm quite serious about proposing to the board that the Dazzle token be minted as one of these RChain tokens.
Great.
Yeah, this is really good. This is awesome. Any questions for Raphael before we move on to the next demo? Okay, Nutzipper, are you up?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Let me share. I want to just talk about work that I've been doing on the block merge and all the recent advances. So let me just start the network. So I also want to say that I finally finished this tool to deploy shard in a Docker, the Docker Compose on a single machine, and with the into Google Cloud. I'm using the different instances. So now I'm deploying a network of 20 nodes into Google Cloud, and we'll get to the demo a bit later. Now I want to, while network is starting, I wanted to say what's block merging and how it's giving us the horizontal scalability. So basically, what blockchain offers is the crypto proof of a state transition and a validation and economic incentive for validating these proof. So if someone cheats, it's punished. Block is orphaned, or in proof of stake chains, the validator that cheated will be slashed. It will lose its stake, so it's a loss of capital, all this nice stuff. So basically, as you can see, here from S1 to S2, there is some state transition. S1 has some state, S2 has another state, and some validator made a transition, for example, send some tokens from one wallet to another, and puts its signature behind this state transition. But what if we have DAG, which we have in our chain? So if you're trying to build some state transition, you need to pick some state as the basis. And here comes the block merge. With this kind of a DAG, what's the benefit is that you can make concurrent state transitions with all validators. So all validators are allowed to morph the state simultaneously. And why we can do that? To understand that, we need to understand what are we storing as the state. So the state is the row length. It's basically either data or continuation. Data that's in channel waiting to be consumed, or continuation sitting on the channel and waiting for data to pass in. And this is it. So this is the very simple computation model, which is the beauty of Erlang. And this allows us to efficiently detect conflicts between all state transitions. For example, if we have a new data, so it's the continuation of what's the state transition. State transition can be new data, new continuation, or communication event, which means that someone produced some data and someone consumed this data. This matched inside a single transition, and we have a communication event. And validator is packing all this stuff in the event log and provides to its peers for it to be validated. And yes, we can merge it if we don't have a conflicts. And the conflicts is one basic rule that there should be no communication event in a COM tuple space in a way as it is, in a state as it is, without any transitions. Which means that we cannot have produce on the channel and consume on the channel at the same time. So, and basically, this is what I'm working on right now to make it efficient. And I want to share what I got to date. So it's still installing, but so I've been testing the recent advances in these work. The very last one was that we finally have efficient merging and conflict detection. And I've been benchmarking the 10 nodes network and 20 nodes network. And I got these numbers. When we are merging blocks with 10 nodes, it's about 3 seconds. Merging in 20 nodes is about 6 seconds, which means that 6 and 3 seconds, sorry, which means that we need to get more data points. But from this, we can say that it scales about linear, but we will get more data points. As to the throughput, I was hoping that we will see about the same sequence number reached in the same amount of time, which means that we are scaling linearly with the number of nodes. So number of blocks created in a network of 20 nodes, it will be twice of a number of blocks in the network of 10 nodes. But this is not the case, and I can show you why this is not the case. And this is another advancement that we just got. Basically, we have very nice tools for debugging and performance investigations. So what happens is that when block arrives in parallel, hit the node and it tries to replay, we have some kind of slowdown, which I'm trying to figure out why is that. But the good thing that we have merging done, and it's sort of stable. If we can get handle on these efficient parallel block validation, we should be fine. and I think that it should not be. I don't see why parallel block validations cannot be as fast as self-block validation. So this is it. I think we should not wait for this network to start. Actually, it started, but never mind. You can see here the results. And as well, if someone is interested, I have I will publish. I can share. I won't publish that, but I can share these Docker Compose and this image to run the network in a Google Cloud. If someone is interested, I think I will get more official version later when we have block merge alpha released. So this is it. Thank you. If someone has some questions, particularly with block merge, maybe I made it really quick and not clear.
Oh, I've seen it several times, but I thought it was very clear.
Thank you.
So Nutzipper, are we ready to move block merge to testnet, or are we waiting for any other pieces to move it to testnet?
We can move it to we can run a devnet at least, so people can use that.
Okay.
I think that actually we, after running for several days on devnet, we might try testnet. I think that it should be stable.
Yeah, I think if we put it on the testnet, then as people are running or using the testnet, we'll get a little bit more testing and validation against that. So.
But
Yeah.
you know, I'm running too fast sometimes, so don't count on me.
No.
All right. So
yeah, we want to get people pounding on it sooner rather than later. So
yeah, so I think we can do a release and then get it on testnet, and I'll work with Gurinder to get that going there, and then this way people can start experiencing that, and we can see what complaints, if any, there are with that. So very good. Thank you. That was very nice.
yeah, indeed.
Thank you.
All right. Unless there are any other questions for Nutzipper or Raphael, can we have the community week in review?
Hello. Hey, everybody. So yeah, that was exciting. As a layperson, non-developer type, it's just, you know, it was exciting to kind of see block merge in that way. So yeah, thanks a lot for that. It's awesome. All right, so here's the Community Week in Review for February 4th to today, February 10th. Last Thursday at the DApp Developer Working Group, there was a discussion of voting apps on RChain and work on supporting localhost operations in governance interface. On Friday at the Climate Coordination Call, we discussed the UN climate poll, where almost 2/3 of over 1.2 million people surveyed worldwide say that climate change is a global emergency. We also discussed Tim Cook's keynote speech on privacy, Shoshana Zuboff's article in the New York Times about surveillance capitalist epistemic coup. And we briefly discussed Epic Games' Tim Sweeney's call for the urgency of an open metaverse, as people increasingly will spend hours of their lives living in virtual worlds. On Monday, the Casper Standup. This week's Casper Standup discussed the unusual non-determinism of RChain. And yesterday in the Communications Working Group, we discussed preparing the content for Raphael to put together a timeline for the front page of the website. Ian presented that Sivras Talbot is looking at adding a menu item on the website for academics. Steve Henley presented a rent a node plan, whereupon RChain would provide services for people to rent a node, and we discussed updating the white paper and posting it on CoinMarketCap. CoinGecko and the RChain website's front page. And this morning in the active member hangout, Raphael gave us a preview of the demo that he just presented in this call. And Steve Henley brought up the rent-a-node concept. And that brings us to now.
I posted a link in the chat. Google's new defense against this everybody getting sensitive to privacy is this thing called FLoC. It's basically localized. They're saying, we don't necessarily need to keep cookies and know everything that you're doing. Instead, we can move some of the computing to, we can do computing on the edge and then create cohorts based on what you're doing without necessarily carrying over what you're doing into our view, is basically what they're saying, I think, with the FLoC. But that's their new federated learning of cohorts, is that API or technology that they have.
So a flock of Googles.
What it is that it's a browser extension on Chrome where it does computing locally, and then they generate cohorts on the basis of what each browser is doing, something along those lines.
So fascinating, that other article that you posted in Discord about the EU's top privacy regulator urges ban on surveillance-based ad targeting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes the case for Dazzle type of a thing, business case, stronger.
If that goes through, that'll be very strong ban.
Yeah, it's just amazing for me to kind of see this kind of public pressure happening now. And
Maybe I can explain something about Dappy. In Dappy, right now I've chosen to, so there is a rule. So right now I'm on the Dappy.tech website. So in a website that is open in a regular browser, you can reach any website on the internet that you want. And it can be cool sometimes, but it can also be very insecure, because it means that a JavaScript that can execute will be able to send data to any place on Earth. And in Dappy, we have a kind of tunneling that is going on between the client and the server. And all the servers that may be reached during a session must be declared by the owner of the domain name. So it's a feature that kind of changes this deal, and I think it fits in this all those conversations around privacy and flaws of the current architectures. So I just wanted to add this.
Wow, that's fantastic. Amazing.
Yes. Yep. It's really cool. Really cool. All right. Any other questions for Daryl, or any other comments about the week in review?
Yeah, I got one. Can you post the link to what Tim Sweeney said? Was it a tweet?
Yes, it was. No, it was an article. It was an interview. Can't find it at the moment, but I'll post it on Discord somewhere.
Okay.
Oh, I just found it.
Okay, thanks.
Cool. Cool. So I also want to mention, I'll go into this more deeply next, Casper, but I found a very important paper. I will do a quick screen share here. Hang on a sec. So basically what this does is it translates Cook and Levin into the Lambda setting. So Cook and Levin is at the very heart of zero knowledge proofs. The Cook-Levin theorem is the statement that SAT is NP complete. As a part of their work, they're able to give translations of statements into 3 color maps, and a statement will be true or provable if and only if there is a 3 coloring, and the A3 coloring suffices as a proof. So those are kind of the traditional setup, and typically this gets encoded as a for the SAT side of things, this gets encoded as a particular kind of circuit. And the question is, instead of encoding it as a kind of circuit, could you encode it as a lambda term? Well, with lambda itself is too slippery with respect to resources. It's too squirrely. It's copying resources willy-nilly. That's what beta reduction does. But there are various flavors of lambda that are more circumspect about the use of resources. So there's linear lambda, and that turns out to also be problematic because it's too strict about the way it's using resources. And there's a halfway house between linear lambda and ordinary lambda, which is affine lambda, which allows for the erasing or deletion of resources. So you can't copy them, but you can get rid of them. And so there's a form of lambda called the parsimonious affine lambda that this paper uses to do an encoding of the circuits. So the reason this is interesting and important for us is because there's a standard encoding from lambda to pi, and then there's an improvement upon that from lambda to higher order pi that sort of doglegs through higher order pi, and then you get rid of the higher order via San Giorgi's compilation. So we can give a direct encoding of the lambda terms that are utilized in this paper into row calculus. So the upshot, long story short, the upshot is that we can utilize this mechanism to transport the ZK and ZK snark mechanisms directly into row. And so the advantage is that we can then do things like once we have this directly in row, then we can do we can enable features like we see in Zcash. But the real interesting potential here, the reason I'm pursuing it, is it's an avenue of investigation that opens up the possibility of not doing the replay. So right now, in order to make sure that the other validators haven't cheated, we do a replay. But if we could just do a verification instead of a replay, that would be very pleasant. So this gives us at least the ability to look at, to investigate whether or not such a verification could be done in less time than the replay. And in principle, this should be the case, because if you think of the program as the proof, then we're only asking to verify the proof. So the contract is the proof. We're only asking to verify the proof. So at least in principle, it should be possible that replay has a lower complexity, that verifying the execution of the program has lower complexity than running the program itself. So that's kind of the idea in a nutshell. I'll go into more details in the next Casper, but this is potentially quite important for RChain because it could be a significant speed up, but also give us a whole bunch of additional features. So I'm very excited about this. There's another intersection with the behavioral types and operational semantics and logical form that I have also gotten very excited about, but more on that next time, since we're right at the top of the hour. So let me check and see if there are any questions about this. All right. Well, thanks to all. It's been a great week for RChain, and looking forward to seeing folks at the Friday call. Yeah, there are some important updates for the Friday call as well. So hope everyone stays safe, and see you on the other side.